Okay, in part two, we're going to get into painting a layer. And there are many ways to paint objects and layers in Photoshop. And a simple way to do this is to use the color blending mode and the brush tool. And we're going to use this to paint the exposed green skin on the monster. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to select the Franken layer, which is layer 1. And what we're going to do next, and you did this in a past colorization activity where you're going to add a new layer, and we'll just call this monster color, I guess. And we're going to hit OK. And the thing is that we're going to go into a different blending mode. We're going to go into the color blending mode. Okay, and basically what this mode does is it combines the luminance of the base color, and this is the color that's already seen, the green color on our subject, and with the hue and saturation of the color that we're applying. And it's a good blending mode when you're coloring monochrome in images or tinting a photo. And then we're going to go ahead and select the brush tool. And we're going to use a 60 pixel brush, basically, and with the hardness of 100%, okay? And then we're going to press Alt or Option, and you can see that the eyedropper tool will come up, and we can temporarily switch to the eyedropper tool from the brush tool. And this is kind of nice if you're wanting to select different colors and go back to the brush tool. Okay. And then what we're going to do, telephone going off there. But anyways, basically if you go Command click, oh, sorry. So if you, within the icon on the layer 1, if you go Command and click within that icon, you can select all the contents of that particular layer. But you have to make sure the layer is active, and you have to make sure currently there isn't anything else selected on your document. And so now that we have a contained area here, we can go ahead and then look at painting this image. So again, if you want, you can go to grab your Option key, the eyedropper tool comes on, and I select an area of green on the face, and you can see down here in the bottom of in the foreground color panel, we have the green selected. And then what I'm going to do, whoops, excuse me, my blending mode needs to be on color. That got changed. Okay, so make sure the blending mode's on color. And, oh, okay. Again, we have to have that new layer, and that new layer just disappeared here on me, and this might happen to you. So definitely you want to be on that second layer here because you're going to be blending it into the bottom layer. Okay. So again, we have the color, so we can go back, and now you can see how I'm getting that nice detail in the skin color here. And I'm just going to go ahead and use my hand tool and color the other hand as well. And works very nicely. Okay, and once you get that colored, when you're happy, we can hit deselect, which is Command D, and we'll now work at getting the background selected here. So now the monster looks pretty good, and it's time to get him into the background. And so basically what we're going to do is we are going to merge the visible layers. So we're just going to actually go to the panel, and actually I think maybe we need to have them all selected, and we're just going to merge the layers. And now we have just one layer that we're dealing with, and now you can go up to your window and do your arrangements. And what we're going to do is we're just going to tile all vertically, And again, we have the backdrop here, which the end one, we don't need that one. So if that's up, you can take that off. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my merged layer and drop it onto the backdrop, and then we can get rid of the monster layer. And if you want to save it, go ahead. And now we have backdrop to work with and have the monster on our layer. And you can see we can bring him down, and he's just sitting, you know, just slightly over here. And I'm just going to go ahead and get the window tabs. Again, you can just arrange and consolidate all the tabs. And so now you can see where we have a pretty good looking backdrop here. Okay. The thing we're going to do is we are going to upscale a low resolution image. And you know, when you have a low resolution image, it's fine for web pages and social media pages. But if we need to enlarge them and put them into like a poster or something that's going to actually be printed out, we may need to scale up this image and keep the or improve the resolution somewhat. And so what we need to do in Photoshop is to do what they call resample. And this basically is creating new pixels where none have existed before. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go into an enlargement where we preserve the details and give us the best results for the faces here. And so anyways, basically I'm just going to zoom in here so you can see, you know, we've got a lot of pixelation going on here. It's not the best resolution in the world. And so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go to image size. And then I'm going to change the width and the height measurements to %. Okay. And I'm going to change this value to 400. Okay. Now the width and the height are linked by default. If there was a reason where I did not want these linked, I would just unclick the little link button here. But for now, this is something that definitely is just fine. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to see, you can see the glasses right now here. And I want to make sure that resample is selected. And I want to choose preserve details. Okay. So, and unfortunately, Photoshop 6 does not have preserved details, and this is where we would be doing it. We can preserve high edges and things like that, but this particular activity works best in Photoshop CC. But if this is what you have available to you, of course it has improved somewhat, so we have improved it. But again, in Photoshop CC, what we would have done was we would have preserved details for enlargement from the resampling menu. Now the image is much sharper, but it has given us a little bit of noise. So we can go back into image size, and in Photoshop CC, also down in this area here, there would be a part where we could actually cancel out some of that noise, but it's not in this particular version of Photoshop. But I just wanted to let you know that it would just be under this area where we preserve the details. Best for enlargement, it would be right under here where we could actually make the noise softer and make the resolution look better. Okay, so basically then we're going to get ready to put the faces into the final poster over here. Okay, and so what we're going to do is we're going to go to select all and copy this. Okay, and then we're going to go back to our backdrop. And when we get into the backdrop, what I want you to do is select the elliptical marquee tool and put a feather of 50 pixels because we're going to soften the edge. And then we're going to draw an oval in the upper right hand corner of the poster. Okay? And the oval should overlap the window and the fire escape. Okay, so it's pretty close to that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to choose Edit, Paste Special, and then Paste Into. And we get the profile, and we're just going to hit OK. And now you can see that the face has come in here. And so we're going to select our Move tool, which is the V tool, and you can see how you can move the face around. Okay. And then in the Layers panel, we are going to choose Luminosity from the blending mode. And we're going to slide the opacity to 50%. And there we've got kind of our creepy looking faces up there at the top of our document. So this is part 2, and again, I'm sorry that I was using Photoshop 6. Again, in class we will show you some of these new functions, such as using smart filters on smart objects, and also how you can preserve the details when you're enlarging photos. Definitely 2 things we can do in Photoshop CC that are very much enhanced, whereas the version in Photoshop 6 is definitely doesn't have all the bells and whistles. So this is the end of part 2, and we will go on to our next project.